Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm bringing you another video, and today I'm just gonna be discussing how I built my own placement tracker app. So first things first, this isn't gonna be like a sit down tutorial thing. I'm just gonna be talking about how and why I actually did it. So I guess first thing would be the tools I use. Since I built it while I was starting on placement, I used the tools that I would be using further down my placement, which is the Power Platform Suite. I feel like I'm talking a lot about the Power Platform Suite, but that's currently where I'm at and what I'm doing on my placement, so that's why it's going to keep on coming up. And more specifically, I use Power Apps, which is a low-code Microsoft product. So it started off as being a learning project, but to make the project actually worthwhile, I thought I better make it something that would actually be useful for me. And while in the end I've actually not been using it, and that's just because the way I work to sort of keep track of my weblog, which is my uni requirement, I've been using Notion, as that's something I can also keep, whereas with a Power App, since I'd be building it on the company device after uni, that would be something I have. But I have been able to use it for evidence, and while building it I did use it for a couple of weeks afterwards before I decided that it would be best for me to be able to keep a copy of it afterwards. So the overall tools I use, as I mentioned, I use Power Apps for the actual front end of it. Back end I use SharePoint list, and then almost in between to interact between the front end and back end I used Power Automate. But I did only use Power Automate for a very small section. Everything else was sort of patched in through the app. So that would be on an unclick property of the button, then it would submit and patch to the SharePoint list backend. But yeah, so more about the project. As I mentioned, it's to hold my weblogs, which is something that keeps a record of my day-to-day tasks, daily learning, any outstanding bits I have, any tasks that I kind of need to remember. Well, this is more so what I use it for, but any tasks I need to remember for later down the week or even for tomorrow. I also use it to record some meeting notes, but very light meeting notes, more so of things I want to look back on later. But yeah, so it's more so just recording day-to-day plans, actions, later tasks, and then small meeting notes. So the overall design of the app was, I started off with just a dashboard front screen, which had about 6 buttons, and that was for my weblog, projects, and then goals, and then they each had their respective buttons for viewing all the records that I previously made. So going into it, it'd just be a simple form base where I just fill in everything. So it taken my weekly entries, and then it would submit and patch to my SharePoint list, and then when I clicked on the button to view them, it also opened back on that form a slightly different view, just so I could actually view everything properly, and then it would just feed back all the information that I had inputted before. And then where my Power Automate slide, my flow comes in, was sending emails every single time a form was submitted to let the user know, which was me, and also confirming that it had been successfully submitted by the user. As the benefits of the app was, it was useful for the short while I used it, but it was also a good learning project to get started on, as during the first 3 months I wasn't really onboarded on a lot of client work or client work for that matter at all. So this was a learning project for me to actually have hands-on experience, something that was worthwhile for me and something that I was kind of interested in. So coming up with something myself was something that I really enjoyed, and I was happy I did. Well, that's all from me. I hope I catch you next time, and as always, rock on.